After rumors were shot down a couple of days ago, new reports say that Brock Lesnar could be coming back to WWE. An update on a WWE fan suing WWE, Logan Paul Backlash, and more. I'm Luke Owen, and this is the WrestleTalk News.
Support WrestleTalk!
Becky Lynch's book, The Man, Not Your Average Girl, is officially released next week. However, preview copies have been sent out to people with influence to review it or promote it. We've not been sent one, which I think says a lot about us. By all accounts, the book contains loads of interesting stories, anecdotes, and tidbits, but the thing that caught the attention of social media was this photo, which sees Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins posed nude using their respective world titles to cover up their modesty and gentlemen's agreements. Some people found it funny, some people found it inappropriate, some probably found it arousing. But what did her co-workers think? Well, we don't need reports from Fightful Select on this one, as we've got in-time reactions to this photo via Up, Up, Down, Down. Here's what happened.
About, yeah, like a lot of the chapters I just read out.
Highest rated NXT segment.
Come on, man! You knew it had to exist! What the? Wow! That's enough to sell the book as it is. Don't show the camera.
Oh, okay.
What the?
That's come on.
Look, it's hard to segue from that bit of lighthearted nonsense into our next story, so I apologize for the whiplash that you're about to get. In January of 2024, Janelle Grant filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE, which accused McMahon of sex trafficking, McMahon and Laurinaitis of sexual assault, and WWE for not doing anything to stop it. McMahon resigned from the TKO board, was removed and censored in WWE 2K24, and in the last 24 hours, Nick Khan and Stephanie McMahon have been confirmed as also being involved in the lawsuit due to their alleged knowledge of the situation. Another name that was implicated was Brock Lesnar, who was alleged to have been offered Grant for sexual favors in return for him re-signing with the company before SummerSlam 2021. Lesnar was not named in the lawsuit, but the accused was described as a world-famous athlete and former UFC heavyweight champion with whom WWE was actively trying to sign to a new contract, and the Wall Street Journal reported that it was Brock Lesnar. Lesnar was reportedly scheduled to return to WWE for the 2024 Royal Rumble, have a match with Dominic Mysterio at Elimination Chamber, then face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. Those plans were all reportedly scrapped, with Dave Meltzer reporting that Brock was done with WWE, possibly for good. He was also removed from WWE 2K24 as a playable character. And earlier this week, Ollie Davis talked on the WrestleTalk News about the potential return of Brock Lesnar, which had been reported by several mainstream media outlets. British tabloids like the Daily Mail and the Times of India, the country's fourth largest newspaper, all reported that WWE had re-added Brock Lesnar's profile to the WWE.com roster page after removing it followed his alleged involvement in the Janelle Grant lawsuit, which was to signal a potential return. These reports spread like wildfire, only to be debunked, as it turns out that Lesnar was never removed from the WWE.com roster page in the first place. And then on Wrestling Observer Radio yesterday, Meltzer talked vaguely about the idea that WWE might be interested in bringing Brock back at some point, saying that everything has a shelf life, and once the dust has settled, wrestlers can often come back from major controversies. He cited Hulk Hogan as an example, who was caught on tape using racist language but was brought back into WWE just a few years later. While never outright saying that Brock was coming back, he did say that he was surprised that it was being discussed this soon. Well, his colleague Brian Alvarez has gone on record in more detail. On Wrestling Observer Live, Alvarez said in the last few days, which ties into the roster page story, there have been moves regarding Brock Lesnar. There are movements to bring him back. Coming out of the commercial break, Alvarez clarified, "I'm not saying that he's coming back. I have no idea if he's going to be back. I wouldn't bring him back, but I can tell you, inquiries have been made. What that means, we will wait and see." As with everything you hear from Meltzer and Alvarez, there is usually a modicum of truth, but that always does come with a pinch of salt. Neither has a spotless track record with reports like this. So if Alvarez is to be believed, and that is a big if, What do you think? Would you like to see Brock Lesnar return to WWE? Let me know in the comments down below. And as a palate cleanser, here's a clip from our most recent Tables, Lists and Shares, where we ranked our top 10 favorite championship belt designs.
But look at this belt though. It's so really nice. It's such a nice belt. In an era when they didn't have great ones, they were just like, you know what? We're just going to make something really nice. And it's got like all the nice embroidery around the side, the North America on the middle. The color of the strap is really nice. It all just works. It makes it feel like a proper, like, old school prestigious belt. It's a really nice looking belt.
Well, I will say, having had a look at it right now, though, too small. That's much too small.
What is this?
You need
a belt for action figures?
A center for ants.
Sticking with lawsuits for a moment, and back in January of 2023, a fan named Marvin Jackson filed a lawsuit against WWE over injuries he allegedly received from attending WrestleMania 38. Jackson alleges that he has lost hearing in his left ear due to the pyrotechnics used during the show and was asking for more than $1 million in compensation. The District Court of Tarrant County, Texas initially dismissed the case with prejudice, which meant that Jackson couldn't file it in that court again, but he appealed the decision. The court said his appeal would see the case sent to arbitration with WWE. Arbitration sees an arbitrator look at both arguments to find an agreement that both parties could come to. The reason it got into arbitration and not just thrown out again is because WWE's argument against Jackson's case was that by purchasing a ticket for WrestleMania, he knew what he was getting himself into in terms of pyrotechnics. But Jackson argues that this usual terms of service does not apply to his situation, as it was a family member that bought his ticket, not him. Jackson apparently didn't want arbitration though and asked for another appeal. And PW Insider are reporting that on March 8th, Jackson's appeal to overturn the dismissal has seen the court side with WWE and agree that he would need to seek arbitration if he does want any damages. Which means it's probably likely that Jackson won't be attending this year's WrestleMania and won't be there to witness WWE's first big mat sponsor, Prime Hydration. Logan Paul revealed on SmackDown last Friday that Prime Hydration had signed a historic deal with WWE, which would see Prime sponsor the mat for WrestleMania and premium live events moving forward. The announcement received a lot of backlash from fans who felt that the sponsorship was intrusive and because, well, this clip art Prime bottle looks a bit naff. Mick Foley even joined in the meme fun, highlighting how the Prime sponsorship would have ruined historic WWE moments like him going through the Hell in a Cell at King of the Ring 1998. Paul himself has now addressed this backlash on his Impulsive podcast, where he responded in typical Logan Paul fashion. Basically, he just wants that heat, brother. He acknowledged that fans were upset about the announcement and that Vince McMahon always believed the mat was sacred and shouldn't have any sponsorships, but added, in this new era, which it is, no matter how you cut it, TKO is a publicly traded company, they got to meet a bottom line. The spot was going to be sold. We saw an opportunity and potentially an opportunity to make people hate me even more because I'm a heel. And that's kind of the angle I took. I was like, y'all, I'm gonna stamp everything about this with me so you're reminded of just what my aim is to take over in this company. Logan Paul's current WrestleMania trajectory reportedly will see him go one-on-one with Randy Orton, though Kevin Owens is also involved in that story, as is Paul's prime partner KSI, who took an RKO on SmackDown. And following Raw, we now know that Sami Zayn is going to face Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania after winning that gauntlet match. The match saw Ricochet first beat JD McDonough, who was then beaten by Bronson Reed, who was then beaten by Sami Zayn, who then beat Shinsuke Nakamura and Chad Gable to get the win. Interestingly though, Fightful Select, ahead of Raw airing, had a slightly different running order for the match, which means that plans for that match were changed. Fightful Select's Raw rundowns are insanely accurate, which means that this was a last-minute change. They write that the original plan for the match was that it would have started with Bronson Reed and Ricochet, with Reed beating him before being beaten by Sami Zayn, who would then beat McDonough, Nakamura, and Gable. No reason has been given for this change, but Reed himself has responded to his loss on Twitter saying, "No chamber, no mania, how the mighty have fallen." Perhaps in reference to the fact that before returning to WWE, Bronson Reed beat Kazuchika Okada clean. Okada is now in AEW, and on tonight's Big Business, will be teaming with the Young Bucks to take on Eddie Kingston, Pentagon Jr., and Pac, with the show also likely seeing the debut of Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks in WWE. When it comes to first matches or dream feuds for Moné in AEW, a name that has come up a lot is Britt Baker, who is currently on the injured shelf. However, speaking at South by Southwest on Monday, Baker teased a return could be on the card soon, saying, "I can't wait to get back in the ring, have one of these bad boys in my hand, and cut some promos. I don't know, just stay tuned." When asked about a feud with Mercedes Moné and the idea it would be must-see, Baker responded, "Yeah, I mean, is that a question? Where's the question? I mean, where's the question?" Now go and watch myself, Pete Quinnell, and Sullivan Bo Brown rank our 10 favorite championship belt designs in the latest tables, lists, and shares, where I, quite embarrassingly, didn't put down the TNA Tag Team Championships. I'm so sorry.